Alright, so I don't know what happened to the rest of my audio, so you're going to have to listen to this pre recorded audio for the time being. Alright, so let's talk about everything about 1.5, I suppose, including my unpopular take on some of these. And there's not a lot of unpopular takes. Obviously, there's a lot of popular takes, such as me obviously disliking the replace of the new intro for new players, just like everyone else. And that's the same with like how there's like a new, like whole new pool system. So I just hope things improve because this game is already falling down so fast, and this is the fastest I've seen the game fall from the hands of a big company. So as you can see, these two 5-star outfits are absolutely gorgeous. The problem is they increased the pity rate, and as other people mention, is with the socks. But for the mermaid one, the socks look the same with the Sofa Girl aria, and it looks very similar to the Whispers of Waves. Like, can you be a little more unique with your socks, at least in Fold, if you're not going to let us see them? As for the Crimson Feather, it looks similar to other socks, but it's not to the point where it's the same. But it might just be the color, and it might just quote unquote save the recolor. So I don't really know, but it is not good. It really does not look good. Okay, okay, let's get a little controversial here. Now, I might just, after all, risk like my entire Nikki account even mentioning this. Like, I'm kind of scared to mention this, and maybe fans will attack me because I would even mention this. But it, it's the fact that, like, I learned that the CEO is male, and allegedly in Reddit that he is not like understanding of other women, so he had to have his wife like tell him the tips. Makes me think, like, instead of his wife being like allegedly the code director instead of the CEO, I think it should be the other way around. Again, I just don't know the story behind this. He did take like classes in business practices, I heard, so it could be why he's the CEO. But I think his lack of understanding of like us women is the reason that led to this. And this company being one of the few companies to make a successful girls game might just do whatever they could just to not listen to us because we're a minor audience. And where could we go, right? Like, it's not easy to quit. And that's how, like, I believe in this business market, they could easily exploit us. And it's different from like a male audience because they can do whatever, please, right? Go to whatever other games they could please, right? And I'm not saying that there's no male players in the games. I mean, they're allowed and they can play Infinity Nikki. It's just that the game is usually directed towards a female fan base, and many of their previous games are directed toward a female fan base, and that the CEO is still just like male. I might just sound sexist for this, but it just ticks me off the wrong way. I think it's just my hot take and my opinion. And I think maybe I'm just being rude, but it 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 just makes me feel less connected, more or so considering the fact that, like, allegedly he says he doesn't understand women and he has to go to his wife for advice. So I'm thinking maybe his wife should take the role instead, since she's more understanding of our audience and we feel more connected to her. But it's probably not necessary. I think it's just me. So it could just be me being salty. So that's just my hot take, my hot opinion. Probably it's not like a big deal, but yeah, it is a very hot take. So I just had to get this out there, and maybe it's just not a big deal, but it kind of just rubs me a bit the wrong way. Well, nothing can be like said without me sounding more sexist, but it's, I don't know. A male developer making a game that's supposed to be towards females, it just hits differently, you know. Okay, getting that uncomfortable hot take out of my chest now, let's go for a more lore theory. As much as I hate the change of the intro, I do have a couple theories as to why they changed it. I think it's still bad, I feel, but here's the idea. I think they changed Nikki's mom. That's my theory. Because I heard, I think it's either from Discord, Reddit, or YouTube comments, that the previous two Nikki games, there is Nikki's mom with purple hair, and the seer, coincidentally enough, has purple hair too. Okay, now I have another unpopular opinion to tell you. So, a lot of people have been complaining about the Sea of Stars being too empty and feeling like there's no life there. My hot take and unpopular opinion is that I feel like I'm the only one who thinks it kind of makes sense. It just doesn't feel consistent with Infinity Nikki. I don't think it's the fact that it's empty. It's just not very consistent with Infinity Nikki maps. Like, it doesn't feel as consistent. That's my unpopular opinion and my take on the Sea of Stars. I like it. It's calming, and with it being like very empty, I like the fact that it's empty. And you can just attack me however you want for this, but it just feels like it makes sense because Like seeing some space videos like myself, it feels empty. It looks empty. And space is empty. Like space has always been empty. And the sea of stars feels like it resonates with the emptiness. But this execution is not going well because they turn the Sea of Stars into a social space, which doesn't really match with what a social space is supposed to be. Of course, I've seen social spaces and how lonely they can get when there's not enough people there. So, yes, it can feel lonely. It also probably has to do with the fact that I am more introverted, so even like with NPCs, sometimes I find it relaxing to be on my own. So I'm like the only one here, it feels like, that likes this like solidarity with the Sea of Stars. But I understand what people are coming from, like how bad it is to be lonely and empty. It really is the inconsistency, I feel like, with like each maps being a lot of NPCs and just one map having no NPCs, no animals or anything like that. Something I find kind of weird with the sound design is that there's animal noises, like there's ambient noises with birds flying and everything. Now, maybe I'm having some like Mandela effect and that I saw birds, but it might be because there's a bird soundtrack in there. Like they added bird sound effects even though there's no animals there. And it's the fact that the Sea of Stars doesn't even look like a planet, even though it's like inspired like by like galaxies, which is associated with space and planets. It has a bunch of plants there, and it feels like the plants are for eating, but there's no animals for them to eat. And the only animals there are like the animals in this enclosed little space, kind of like a cage, I suppose. But yeah, that is kind of my take on it. I do think that it is better if they add animals for like the consistency of a realm with more creatures, because it kind of doesn't make sense that they don't have animals like spread about in the Sea of Stars. Or maybe they're just trying to mimic the starting of a planet and would add creatures later on, like the birth of a planet. But this is the Sea of Stars, and I feel like it's been aged already for so long, like an aged planet. And I guess the seer has mentioned that it's been so lonely without Nikki. So maybe she's been living in this empty, lonely space for so long. Maybe it is supposed to be empty. It's just that it's inconsistent with the other maps. And so it just seems so sudden. And it's not like there's no build up or anything like that. There's not even a variety of maps that feel lonely. Like every map has some sort of creatures or like NPCs. So this just was very sudden. It also could just not make sense at the same time to add NPCs. But I feel like if this is like co op and everything, and there's like other Nickis from other universes, they could just add other Nikki NPCs that you can interact with different personalities. Maybe one's more evil, or one's like slightly more mean. Or maybe there's the one Nikki from Love Nikki, and then even Momos with different personalities. I sure as heck see the different changes of Momo's personality from Love Nikki to Infinity Nikki. And oh my lord, how Momo comments in Love Nikki. I'm just gonna say that. So it could be like a very good idea. And with it being more quests in the Sea of Stars, I'm not sure how I feel about that yet. Maybe they could add more quests for it, but they also could just not at the same time, because it feels like the Sea of Stars, they seem to serve fully as a purpose for social space. But it also feels kind of wrong because it feels like it's such an important area and an important part of the story. So I don't know. I feel mixed on adding quests to the Sea of Stars. Maybe it's better if they just add quests then, but who knows? It could just be overwhelming though for players, especially some new players. But that's just me. Creepy. Well, anyways, so that's it for the video. I hope the updates become better, and I hope you guys feel better too. Bye.